Welcome to the Ben and Walker Movie Show. I am your co host, Ben Davis, joined by my other co host, Walker Holt, and we're excited to have a conversation with you about one of our favorite things in the world, top 10 lists. If this is your first time being here with us, welcome. We're so glad to have you. And while you're here, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest content that we have for you guys. And if you enjoy your time with us today, please leave us a comment, a like, share us around, and let us know your thoughts on today's show because that helps us out a good deal. This is our weekly show where we usually break down movies and TV news that interest us, discuss some trailers, and talk about some things that we've been watching. This week, however, we'll be discussing, as I alluded to, our top 10 movies of 2023. Now, you might be asking, well, 2023 ended a little bit ago, but, you know, being from a small town and we don't really get all the movies. And I like to have like a big pool of movies to choose from. And I like to be as knowledgeable as I can be when making a top 10 list, which is always fun to do, Walker.
Oh yeah, I top 10 lists really are one of my favorite things in the world. It
Yeah, they're fun to do.
Yeah, I love rankings. I love like recording my thoughts and data, and it's been fun to revisit it because I don't know, my mind has changed. You come sometimes on from both ends of the spectrum. You can come out of like the theater on a high, having a good time, loving it, and then you start thinking about it more. You start comparing it to other movies that you have similarly rated. You've got you talk to other people, I talk to you, you start to poke holes in movies, or maybe you start to lift movies up and start to
Hmm.
like change my mind on them, and I start to rethink it, I rewatch it. There's just a lot that goes into it that can my mind gets changed a lot. It's fun to revisit. That's all it is fun.
It's fun, and it's what all I always like to do whenever I discuss like a top 10 list or anything like that is like this is just a fun snapshot in time of how I'm feeling currently. But later on down the road, those movies will rearrange over time. It is very rare that they don't move around.
Hmm.
It is so rare that they don't change.
Yeah,
But this is just a cool snapshot. These are not, written in stone.
I agree. Also worth mentioning, I mean, worth reiterating, like you just said. I mean, it's January 21st when we're recording this. It's hard to, I mean, it's tough to get all the movies in. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you have families, if you have a job, if you have anything else to do in your life. And people who are big time movie fans know December is just a dump of great movies. Usually movies that think they have a shot in award season try to
Hmm.
get an edge with recency bias, and they pull a lot. They pour a lot of it on in December. So I mean, it takes a lot to get caught up. Like he said, small towns hard to get it in theaters, and it's just a
I
lot.
always get I always get super anxious.
Yeah, and it is hard to. And I didn't finish. I mean, so I imagine, and I'll make a note of this. In the coming weeks when we record our normal weekly episodes, as I'm able to finish up 2023 movies of things that may get put in place of others. Because I imagine
Yeah.
a couple of them, one or two in particular, that I'm excited about, certainly could end up on this list that aren't there
Yep.
now because of just sheer time and availability. I mean, I like to support the industry and go to the theater and purchase movies and rent movies. I don't want to like pirate anything, but
Right?
it is hard to see in it all. I mean, you would
There's
think it'd be more
there's
access.
like 3 movies that I did not see that I really, really wanted to see, and Society of the Snow is
Mhm.
one that I hadn't had time to sit down and watch. What's it called? Emma Stone movie.
Yeah, poor things.
Poor Things. I keep wanting to call it Beautiful Creatures. That's not it. That's a Peter Jackson movie. But yeah, Poor Things I missed, and the Author movie,
Yeah, American Fiction. Yeah,
American
same for me.
Fiction.
Those
Yeah,
three. And Society of Snow's on Netflix, but again, it's just tough to squeeze it all in. We've been watching a lot of stuff,
yeah, that's a long
and
movie too.
we'll see these movies, and I mean I've got about 12 that I want to see from 2023, and I don't expect I certainly could be wrong, but I don't
Yeah.
expect very many of them to enter the top 10, except maybe a couple, like the ones you just mentioned.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. And I'm sure you may say some on your list that I haven't seen yet, and I'll acknowledge that I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want
Do
to
you
ruin it.
remember what your top movies were? This is off topic, completely off topic from what we were talking about. But do you remember what your top 10 movies were for 2022?
Oh gosh. No, I mean not off the top of my head. I could probably. I mean, I loved Top Gun Maverick. I loved
Mhm.
Avatar.
Yeah.
I liked Everything Everywhere all at once. I was really excited that it won the Oscar, but I didn't love it as much as like the rest of the world loved it. I
I'm
probably
with
feel
you on that.
similarly to it as you do Spider Man or Spider Verse. Like I thought it was good. I thought it was great, but it was like you guys are acting like this is like change the game. It was exciting for me that something unique and odd and I guess not mainstream, but I'm just glad it got recognized at the
Yeah.
awards, and I thought that was pretty neat. Those
I'm
are
gonna pull
all the.
I'm gonna pull mine up here if I can find it. Let's see. Here we go. Um, these are the top 10 films of 2022 with 5 honorable mentions. I have Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Puss in Boots, Banshees of Inisherin, The Woman King, and She Said as honorable mentions. And then top 10 and starting at number 10, Scream, The Northman, 13 Lives, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Fablemans. Getting into the top 5, The Menu, Nope, Top Gun Maverick, The Batman, and Avatar: The Way of Water. I think that would still stick. I think that that top 10 list pretty much
That's a
is the
great
same.
list. Yeah, a lot of mine are on there. I mean, I said Avatar, I said Top Gun. Nope, also great. I just didn't record it like I do now. Back then,
Yeah.
the trying to think, the Batman's obviously great.
Mhm.
X was good.
Pearl was great.
Yeah, what name a couple? Say your top 10 again.
Let me
Emily
pull
the
it up.
Criminal was one that I liked a lot too. Did you see that on Netflix?
I never saw that one.
Worth checking out.
Top 10, I'll go from 1 to 10. Avatar:
Okay.
The Way of Water, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, Nope, The Menu,
And Menu
Fablemans.
and
Yeah,
the
The
Fablemans
Menu.
both. Menu's
The
awesome.
Menu came in late. I saw that and I was like, dude, this is hilarious
Yeah, I
and
saw it on a
awesome.
plane.
Yeah, I had to too. I did too.
Mhm. Good movie.
Good plane movie.
Yeah.
But before we get to this year's top 10 list, is there anything you want to talk about that you saw this week before we get into it?
Wrapped up Fargo. Good show.
Yes.
You know that
Yeah.
show. I love the movie, and I've really liked every season. The first season's pretty pretty similar to the movie. They all have a similar tone, but that one's really similar to the movie. And then the second season is a little different. They're all in different time periods. There's one with Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor. He plays twins, which is cool. Season 4, people did not love it, but I didn't mind it as much. I didn't hate it like other people did. It was the worst season, but it was Chris Rock, and it was in 50 St. Louis, I think. This one has John Hamm. It's based in 2019, I think, Minnesota. John Hamm's in it. He's awesome. It's
He's
got the
always
guy from
awesome.
Stranger Things, Harry. I forgot his name. You know the guy with the big poof hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think his name's Harry in the show. He's in it and he's good. It's got Juno Temple. Is that her name from Ted Lasso? Good show.
Yeah.
It wrapped up last week. Stuck the landing. Good season. I don't know what the future is for that show. I recommend it though, especially if you like the see, it's also anthology, so every season's different. There's a slight bit of overlap. Usually it's more of Easter egg style though. Like it's just like acknowledging that it's the same
If you've been
universe. That's
following, it's
about
like,
it.
aha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's about all. I mean, you don't definitely don't have to watch anything. And speaking of anthology, True Detective season 4 started last Sunday. Have not started it yet. I will be watching it. Last tonight's episode 2 is Sunday where we're recording. So I'll be watching that, and I'll keep you in the loop. You know, if it's good, if it's not good, if I'll definitely talk. I'll wrap it up once it's over. But True Detective, I did love season one, loved it. Season two was lesser. Season three brought it back to true form and felt like a great follow up to one. It wasn't quite as good as one, but it was good. Marshall Ali's in it.
Hmm.
Great guest. This one's Jodie Foster. It's based in Alaska. I think it's got a subtitle called True Detective: The Night Country, and I think it's based in Alaska during the time of year where it's dark most of the time. I think, and Jodie Foster's in it. Uh, so we'll see. Hopefully.
Nice, nice.
Oh, I saw The Color Purple too.
Oh yeah, what'd you think of that?
It was good. It was good. Very similar in rating to the original, which was a
Yeah.
classic. I mean, it's a good movie. Both have interesting tones. I mentioned this on our last
Did
episode.
you feel the exact same way I did when it comes to some of the music? Like
Yes, but
totally.
I had just watched the original for the first time
Okay.
the week before, and I felt the original had a little bit of a it's it had a little bit of a slapstick undertone to it that was like, oh, and I was like, maybe that's to lighten the mood from such a dark topic, but that it almost feels like it cheapens it. It's hard to like quite like put my finger on why it bothered me. But then I started understanding why they did it. I will say for the original, I forgot several times that that movie was 40 years old, that it was made in the mid 80s. Like watching, I mean,
Yeah.
it was obviously ahead of its time and well done. And like they would make interesting direction, Spielberg would make interesting choices in his cuts for the violence and things like that that were you'd forget when you're watching, like, oh, well, this is 40 years ago, and so it was definitely ahead of its time. And I should consider that when I'm thinking about it. But this had a very similar feel to it. Obviously, instead of slapstick, we went more with the musical aspect. But I did prefer this route, and I did think this overall was better. I
Yeah,
thought
I
a lot
agree.
of the
It's a better
characters
movie.
stayed true to the original characters, but a
Yeah.
lot of them were improved upon. Like Harpo, particular, the son, the character was just fleshed out a little more interesting. I cared more. Obviously, Danielle Brooks was fantastic in it. I did like some of the music. A lot of the music I liked. Just trying to separate, compartmentalize. Regardless of whether I liked having music in it, I did like some of the songs. They were good. Halle Bailey's
Yeah.
obviously can crush her. She's just got the pipes.
Yeah. The movie itself I thought was great. I really, really enjoyed it. I went in thinking, okay, I don't know. I'm not a huge musical guy,
Yep.
but I ended up really loving it.
Mhm.
Obviously, I gave it like a must see last week when we talked
Yeah.
about it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. Speaking of musicals, I saw Mean Girls, the musical, like 2 nights ago. Eh,
No.
eh. It, it's the exact same movie,
Is it?
just with music.
Hmm.
It's the exact same movie, just with music. I didn't overall. I didn't really love it. Like I didn't hate it. Like it's not bad. I think if you're a fan of the original Mean Girls, check it out. But I won't think about it much. Like if
Okay.
I'm gonna watch, a Mean Girls movie, I'm gonna watch the original. Again, this is pretty much the exact same movie. Uh,
Yeah, the original's become a
yeah,
classic. I'm gonna see it this week. I was waiting. I wanted to rewatch the original before I went and saw it, and I know I'm gonna be watching the original soon anyway. So I was just kind of wait and do kind of two birds in one day, or two birds, just wait and
yeah,
do it
yeah.
together. So I'll see it this week. I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, I mean, the cast is fine. The girl who plays Regina George, I thought was I think she did a really good job. I'm gonna actually look up the actress's name real quick. I thought she did a really good job. My only issue is that like Regina George is supposed to be like a little bit more like preppy, and she comes across Renee Rapp, and she comes across as like less preppy, more like punk rocker, and it feels like a bit of a miscast, even though She does a good job. But yeah, I thought it was just pretty much the exact same movie. I'd give it like a rent it. It's not bad, but it's kind of forgettable. But then I also saw The Beekeeper, which was unbelievable. You know,
Really?
I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was trying to think of more puns, but I can't think of any more puns right now.
Oh, on Beely. Get it? Sorry, took me a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, no, that's fine. Now, I'll leave the
Be
puns
aggressive.
behind me. You know, I won't talk about it anymore. But no, I thought it was like stupid, but really entertaining.
Mhm.
Th- The amount of bee puns in the movie is just ridiculous. Jason Statham is cast really well. I think David Ayer really knows how to bring out the best in Statham. The action's pretty fun. The plot's ridiculous. It is a 80s 90s action movie set in the modern day, and I enjoyed it. I'd give it like a see it. I'll go see it. Like a
Yeah,
light go see it. It's not bad.
I'll probably check. I'll check it out if I have the time. I definitely see it. I'll see if I see it in theaters or not.
Yeah, but let's go ahead. Enough chit chatting. Let's go ahead and talk about our top 10 list. But before we get to our top 10 list, let's do some honorable mentions here, Walker. These are
Sure.
in no particular order. You want to go back and forth?
Yeah, I can go back and forth, or I can burn off my 5 right now. You want me to go back and forth?
Let's go back and forth. Make a little bit of a discussion.
All right. So I number 15. My well, I guess it doesn't matter. But one of my honorable mentions is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I thought it was a great movie. I loved the focus. It was emotional. It was well acted. It was hilarious. It was a great end cap to a great trilogy. It makes me excited for the future of the DCU too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful movie. I won't say any more about it though, because we might be talking about it a little later.
Sure.
Um, Staying in the superhero genre, The Flash
Yeah.
is my first honorable mention. At one point, this movie was in my top 10 movies of the year. But I've rewatched it a couple of times since, and I do see the faults in the movie. However, that movie is just a lot of fun, and the emotional core of it works so well. I thought it was a blast. And as far as like the ending of the DCEU, this kind of serves as the best version of like an ending for the DCEU, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I still give it a must see. I think again the emotional core of the film, the stuff with his mom in the grocery store is beautiful. So yeah, that's an
Yeah,
honorable mention
that was
for
good.
me.
My next honorable mention, I would say May December. This was a challenging movie to watch. It was also a challenging movie to make, and it required 3 knockout performances, and we got 3 knockout
Yeah,
performances from it. So they tackled a tough subject matter, and they found um, something true, which is I think a theme of the movie. But
yeah, it just missed out on my honorable mentions. I and it pained me. I had to cut it. But
mhm,
yeah, as a movie, I really appreciate it. You talk about if you love great acting, it's a
mhm.
great movie to watch because there are 3 knockout performances, like you said, in it with Charles Melt. It's Charles Melton.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
yeah,
does an incredible job in the
yeah,
film, and hopefully
yeah,
he gets that Oscar nomination.
yeah.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
That just missed mine.
Yeah, it's I think it's funny. When that movie came out, a lot of people loved it, but I think over time, I feel like the buzz kind of died down and people didn't talk about it as much.
Yeah,
It kind of just kind of came and went, which is weird because like when I saw it, like the movie's pushing 3 hours or close to it, and it goes by in a breeze. Those action set pieces are incredible, whether it's the airport action sequence, the car chase, which is phenomenal, and of course the incredible action sequence at the end there. I just think it's a rip roaring great action film from one of our greatest actors in Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I think it stayed true to the franchise. I think it gave us
Yep.
something enjoyable, something that was shocking, um, interesting marketing technique, which I think probably was a great idea in terms of like giving away the big move to like sell the movie and stuff, like with the bike jump and everything. When I think they could have made that as far,
Yep.
but I think it, um, but also probably hurt by scheduling and stubbornness in
Yeah,
terms of weekend opening weekend and things like that.
I think it really what really hurt it was the what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it was my number 16 movie of the year, so it missed me by one, but
Yeah.
a lot of fun. My next honorable mention is gonna be John Wick. John Wick 4. I don't know what it's called. Not Parabellum or whatever the third one was weirdly called.
John Wick Chapter 4.
Yeah, this held up. I mean, Keanu's 60 in the close to 60 years old and just killing it from beginning to end. Nice. Um, beautiful choreography, great set piece or not set pieces, but great like on
You know,
location
it's
shooting. Yeah, go ahead.
what's interesting is it's a beautiful looking movie too. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like cool action. Like it's a gorgeous looking movie.
Yeah. And there's no frills about it. They kind of just get to business. And I mean, I guess this comment already hasn't aged well, but they kind of just they told their story and they cut it off. But I get, I mean, I know we want more of the universe, but I love the lore too. I love how they've expanded into the universe. That kind of stuff can get pretty cheesy. They handled it in this cool,
It's
like
really
almost
cool.
old school way where it
Yeah.
just feels like it's just interesting, and they are kind of unapologetic about it. Great guest stars sprinkled throughout the whole franchise, but like this movie a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Fell down 5 million steps.
I'll have more to comment on that later, I'm
Yeah.
sure. My number 3, it's not none of these are really numbered. Air. This is one of the best sports movies that I've seen recently, and it's crazy because it's like this like 15-minute part of The Last Dance, right? Where they
Mm-hmm.
go into the whole shoe deal. Jordan really wanted to be with Adidas, and they talked him into doing Nike. And thank God, because those Jordan 1s, man, those are the best looking, sexiest shoe ever created. Love that shoe. Love this movie. It's filled with great performances, excellent direction. I mean, Ben Affleck is one of those people. He reminds me a lot like of him and Bradley Cooper, or even though Bradley Cooper is, like the generation after him, I think like they share a lot of commonalities where they are so incredibly talented, maybe even more so talented behind the camera. Ben Affleck's an incredible director, and he took this script with Matt Damon and crushed it.
Yep, I agree. I need to rewatch that movie. I've only seen it
It's
the
on
once in
Amazon. It's
theaters.
got a great rewatchability factor to it.
I know, and I just going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's just tough to squeeze in a lot of rewatches. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When you're just trying to get as much out as you can. But it's been like on my Apple TV, that like kind of links everything together. It's
Yeah.
like started like 6 minutes into it. It's like been on my up next list for 4 months because I keep like almost starting it and then like I'm going to sleep or something. I
Yeah.
started at midnight or something. It's like, all right, it's too late. I gotta go to bed. But I definitely need to rewatch it. Great cast.
Yeah.
Next on my list, Killers of the Flower Moon. I think this was directed beautifully. The editing, the score, the cinematography, all amazing. The performances I thought were fantastic. I'm a big Leo defender in this movie. I thought he was awesome. Lily Gladstone obviously was the star of the show, and Robert De Niro joins a group of unbelievable sporting actors this year.
Killer's Row. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a brutal story. It was a powerful story. It was a good movie.
Yeah. So This is the one that I thought you would think is controversial because it's not in my top 10 and it's not my honorable mentions. I just cut it out. I agree with everything you said. The reason that I don't have it, because Lily Gladstone, out of all the performances I've seen this year, still gives my favorite just overall performance of the year.
Mhm.
I think she's incredible. I hope she wins the Oscar. Granted, I hadn't seen Poor Things, so Emma Stone could knock me out. But
Right.
the reason I don't have it on here is because I saw it and I don't really want to go back to see it again. And it is a brutal story, but it has nothing really to do with the brutality of it. It's just I don't think there's a lot of rewatchability factor to it, as much as I think it's a great movie, and Martin Scorsese is one of our best, if not our best, director working today. I just it's not one I thought about much after seeing it and discussing it with you.
Yeah, I kind of agree, and I've we talked about this in our discussion about it, but the film is intentionally paced as a slow burn,
Hmm.
and it goes into detail to show the just torture that was just the display of torture that was unbelievable, but it just makes it tough on a near 4 hour movie
Yeah.
to I mean, and when it's so brutal, I mean, and maybe that's the point. But and I know I've been a grumpy old man this year complaining about long movies, and that's not typically my take. Maybe it's because of how much more content this year I've watched than I usually do. Because I am a long movie guy, and I still like watch Wolf of Wall Street
Hmm.
and think I'm like I want more at the end of it. I think it's paced so well that I just love it. This one I was getting antsy in my seat. Not that I wasn't enjoying what I was watching, but I was just kind of doing the math in my head, like, all right, previews with 24 minutes, it's 3 hours and 30 minutes. Like, what
Went to
time
go
am I
see
getting?
the movie. Went to go see the movie at 1 o'clock. Got out at around 4:35.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
But
tough.
that's why it's not making my top 10. But it is worth mentioning.
Next up on my honorable mentions, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. Uh, at one point in time, this was my favorite animated movie of the year. This movie it's the perfect Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie because it focuses on them being teenagers and not just being, the cowabunga. They still are the cowabunga like Ninja Turtles, but it focuses the relationship on them being teenagers and all being very unique and different. And I just thought the animation style was wonderful. I thought the score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross was awesome. I was not expecting to love this movie as much as I did, but I absolutely loved it. Jackie Chan as Splinter is fantastic. I love this movie. It just did miss my my top 10, but it doesn't change the fact that this is still a wonderful movie.
Love this movie. Thought it was awesome. A lot of
Yeah.
fun. I agree. Animation, awesome. Especially, you know, we mentioned Spider Verse and stuff. I mean, that's obviously a work of art in terms of animation, and to do it like right next to that and be its own thing, yet just, I mean, also very impressive,
Hmm.
and not copycat or anything like that. They made it. I mean, that's very tough to do, and they held their own and did their own thing. Also love the script, or maybe lack thereof, like improvisation or dialogue that was, they kind of like let the kids just kind of free flow and talk and sound real.
Yeah.
Like they sound like just kids, like you would overhear,
It
hanging
sounds
out
like
at a
kids.
gas
It
station.
doesn't sound like, a
Yeah,
30-year-old. It doesn't sound like the meme of
yeah,
was it Belushi walking with a skateboard like, "What's up,
yeah.
kids?"
Hello,
Like
fellow kids.
yeah, hello fellow kids. It's not that. They just seem like teenagers and like kids, So I thought that was well done as well.
Yeah. It's the last one, I think, right? My last honorable
Yeah.
mention before we get picking it up. The Holdovers. Thought this was a lot of fun, beautiful movie. Um, I
Killing me,
have
Smalls.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies rated as a 90 this year, which just seemed to be the most popular score I gave out this year, and the Holdovers is one of them. And 3 of them made the cut, and I just went down to favorite. This movie's great. I mean, it's my number 11 on the year, and I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it more. I think the performances are fantastic. Dominic Sessa is a great breakout performer. I mean, we'll get into it.
Yeah. Um, my number 5 is Past Lives. As I talked about last week, I think this movie is beautiful. I think it's a beautiful movie, a beautiful story, incredibly well acted, and incredibly well told. I think the script is genius. I think it's a very melancholic movie, and it's the atmosphere and the score really sets you in that place and puts you in that mood. I think it's a beautiful movie.
We'll talk about it more.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we will. All right, now we're moving into our top 10. All right, so how we're going to do this is very much inspired by the Top 10 podcast by John Roca and Matt Nost and how they did things. We'll go back and forth. I'll do 10, Walker will do 10, but if there's something that's in our top 5 or one of our top 5s, we'll punt and we'll talk about it when we get to it. If that makes sense. Did I describe that well enough, Walker?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. You want to flip a coin, see who goes first?
Oh,
I have a coin.
sure, go ahead.
It's not weighted. It's not weighted.
Yeah, all right.
Do you want heads or tails? Forgot
Heads.
to ask. Heads. All right. Well, my hand-eye coordination sucks. All right, tails. All right, I will go first. My number 10, Elemental.
Okay. Very cool.
As I talked about it on the pod, I love how hopelessly romantic this movie is. It is so sweet. It wears its heart on its sleeve. The animation is beautiful. I'm a big score guy. I love the score, but it's got a great father daughter story in it. It's got the immigration story in it that's beautiful as well. But to me, the most appealing thing about this movie is just how beautiful and romantic this movie is. It's so sweet and romantic, and I love it. And that's why it is my number 10 movie of 2023.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it yet. I made that on
Freaking
that list.
slacker.
So you'd say it holds up as it holds its name as a Pixar movie.
It
It
does. It
deserves.
does. It kind of had a slow burn at the box office. I think it eventually broke even. I think. But I didn't see it in theaters, and what a fool am I for not seeing it in theaters because I wish I had. This movie's wonderful.
Cool. I'll have to see it. I'll have to check it out. Was it similar at all to Inside Out? That was the vibe I got from the trailer, but I wasn't sure if that was
Uh,
just because of the colorful little creatures and that made
I
it seem like
think
it.
I think that's it. I think that is the only commonality. That and the scores are both beautiful. I think that to me is the only commonality.
Got it. All right. Well, my number 10 movie on the year is going to be Barbie. I thought this absolutely hit for me. I thought it was so fun. I thought Greta Gerwig did a magnificent job directing it. Obviously, Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling stole an unstealable show. I mean, it was just fantastic. The complaints I've heard about it from other podcasts or critics or reviews or anything have been that it was a little on the nose. I disagree. I thought it was enlightening and uplifting and well done, and also with its general, like, with for children watching this movie growing up and letting them like kind of define what Barbie is to the next generation and teach these like lessons from these perspectives from women. I thought it was just beautifully done. It was laugh out loud funny. It was cry in the theaters touching.
Moments, yeah.
I it held its own as one of the most anticipated double feature maybe in history. I I I, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was beautiful. I think anyone should see this movie and can learn from this movie. I think if you're thinking it's on the nose and didn't teach anything new, I think you should wake up and smell the fucking coffee and look around the world and realize you're wrong. I think it was magnificently done.
No, I think it's a good movie. I think it's good but messy.
Hmm.
There's a couple things I don't necessarily love about it, but I agree with pretty much everything you said. Um, I think the main message of the movie that women can be anything, but they don't have to be everything is something that is a message. I said this when I talked about the movie. It's a message that I want my daughter to hear. She can be anything in the world she wants to be, but she doesn't have to be everything. And it's an impossible tightrope that women have to walk. And the movie beautifully captured that. And my third favorite scene of the year, which is America Ferrera giving the experience of what it's like to be a woman,
Hmm.
and how, as a man, I can't really relate to that, but I can relate to the aspect of having to walk a tightrope because people, everyone has to walk that tightrope. But also, I see my mom walk that tightrope. I see my sisters walk that tightrope. I see my wife walk that tightrope. It's hard. It's hard.
Oh.
It's impossible. And that speech is incredible. It's my third favorite scene of the year. Great choice. Great choice. Again, I have come around to thinking it was a mixed bag of a movie. To I've seen it 4 times now. I think it's
Oh.
a good movie that's a bit messy in parts, but still good nonetheless. And I love Greta Gerwig, so good choice.
Yeah. Thanks.
My number 9 is going to shock you and probably anyone that has seen that TikTok that I did of this movie. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at number 9.
Oh, it does surprise me.
Yeah,
We could
here.
definitely. I mean, you say see if you want to share a little bit, do it. But this is an absolute punt situation.
Okay,
If
if it's a punt situation, we can talk about it later. But what I will say for right now is that the reason it's on my list is I have since rewatched it a couple of times now because Zoe loves it,
mm-hmm.
and I think it's a beautiful movie. I still have that criticism about it where, when it came out, people were talking about this movie like it was a second coming of Jesus Christ. And I was like,
Yep.
okay, it's great, but it's half a movie. I still have that criticism.
Yeah.
But after watching it more times, the story, while it is Miles' story, this one opens with Gwen and it ends with Gwen. This is really Gwen Stacy's movie. And with her character, there's a full arc.
Yeah.
So I have backtracked a little bit on that statement of it being half a movie. I still think with Miles's story it kind of is, but if you look at it through the guise of this being Gwen Stacy's movie, it's a complete movie. So yeah, that's what I'll say about it now. It's a punt situation, so we'll talk about it a little bit later. What's your number 9?
Mhm. My number 9 movie. I've talked about it a lot this year. I feel like it was an early movie, so I've mentioned it several times, and it's Creed 3. I had such a fun time with Creed 3. I think Michael B. Jordan did a fantastic job in front and behind the camera. I thought the fight scenes were just sick. I thought they just did this, and in theaters they were even better. Just this level of clarity and coordination with beautiful direction to make you feel like you're in it and intense. I mean, I can't not mention. I mean, Jonathan Majors is brilliant in it. I mean, he really. I mean, he. I mean, I know that's whatever. I mean, it is what it is. But he. I mean, love the art, hate the artist. I mean, it was a magnificent performance, and it was subtle and interesting, and And Michael Jordan's great in it too, and so is Tessa Thompson. Tessa Thompson has had a great arc in this thing. I also love the set design. I think they have like it's just
The
aesthetically
ending fight
pleasing.
was really creative too.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta see it again. I want to rewatch the whole trilogy. The score, the soundtrack, I guess. Sometimes I mix those words up. The soundtrack, sick. Really good. Love this movie. I mean, I'm probably in the minority of someone who says Creed does it better. I mean, Rocky. I have a lot of respect for Rocky, especially the first one, and then a couple of the others. And yeah, I miss Sly in this one. But given the opportunity, I think I have more fun with Creed.
That's fair. Yeah, I quite enjoyed Creed 3 a lot. I gave it a must see. It just missed out on my honorable mentions. There was a lot of great movies this year, and that just happened to miss out on my honorable mentions. Agree with everything you said about it. But my number 8 is Anatomy of a Fall.
I mean, it's another punt.
Okay. All right, fine.
We may have a couple punts here, but we're gonna have a lot to talk about in a minute. You want me to go ahead and move on? And we'll punt and
Yeah.
we'll talk about
Yeah. Go ahead and talk about your number 8.
Well, my number 8 is the Iron Claw.
Yeah, that's a punt.
Okay.
That's a punt. All right. Number 7, The Creator.
Okay.
Yeah, I love this movie. Loved it. I thought, walking into that movie, I did not expect to be as emotionally enthralled and engaged as I was. By the end of that movie, it hit me in the heart. I said this about a couple movies on here, but it's a beautiful movie. The cinematography is wonderful. I thought it was a real human movie about AI. I genuinely really love this movie quite a lot. John David Washington was great, and the little actress who I am forgetting her name. God, I'm the worst podcaster in the world.
It's Madeline Univoyles.
Thank you. She is terrific in this.
Yeah, she's not the best child actor of the year, but she's definitely up there. Maybe number 2.
Absolutely. There's a lot of emotional scenes that she has to carry, and she's wonderful. I think that it's Gareth. It's not Gareth Evans, is it? It's what's the director's name? God, I'm blanking today. I'm useless.
Yeah, it is. It's Gareth Edwards, isn't it?
Gareth Edwards. Okay, yeah. He was
So the Rogue One guy.
Yeah, Rogue One guy. He returned with a force. I think with this one, returned with some force with this one, and it deserved to make a little bit or a lot more money than it did. And it just goes to show too, this movie had like a $86 million budget or an $80 million budget, and it looked incredible.
It's unbelievable, and the whole season. I mean, give me on She-Hulk, or the
Man on the Wasp,
air quotes down to earth one, Secret Invasion. Like they just come on, talk to these guys.
Yeah, because they crushed it in the VFX department.
This looks so good.
Yeah,
I liked it too. It was cool. It was a good original story. I was happy they did a lot on a small budget, and they made it still like a big box office feeling movie. And it was original and interesting. And the take on AI was not really a roll your eyes one. It was kind of a fresh take, I thought. And I wish more people had seen it.
Yeah,
I wish more people had seen it. It didn't crack quite into my top 15 here, but it's a good movie. I mean, I'm glad I saw it. And if you're a fan of science fiction, I imagine most people will at least have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Where are we? Number 7 for me. It's Past Lives. We didn't punt it earlier. You talked a little bit about it. I thought this was beautiful, man. I mean, you recommended it to me during one of our last couple shows. Rightfully so. I mean, it's It's touching. It feels so real and relatable. And I'm not saying like the same story has happened to me yet, but they I mean, everyone has their story and everyone's made choices that have taken them in different directions. And at the time felt like what if, and I love that they kept it so authentic. Like they didn't circle it around and try to make it. I'm not gonna say they didn't make it a happy ending. They made the ending, and she's happy and it's the ending. But there's still like a sense of it's just so brilliant. I love this kind of stuff. I love just like it's not a sad ending. It's just an
No,
ending,
it's an
and there's
ending.
some sad elements of it. Just like there's sad elements of our lives. We can think of things in the past that I'm not necessarily saying I wish things were that way at all. I'm not wishing things had gone one way or another, or you know what I mean. I just, but it still can make you a little sad that something happened and went, and then and you start to think about what you do have in your life and how precious everybody is around you, your family and things, and like what if that had happened to us? What if we had what if things had just sent in a different direction? And
I'm saying the movie sends you down a spiral of like, what if?
I know, and it's
It's a brilliantly written script.
it really is, and Greta Lee is awesome in it, you know. And I wasn't super familiar with her work, and then you know I watched the morning show, and we season 3 of the morning show. I started that earlier today with Jess, and Greta Lee's in that, and I was like, oh my god, that's her. I was like, I thought she looked kind of familiar, but I couldn't figure out what she was
Yeah.
from. That was it, and she's awesome in it. She's awesome in it. Also, the cultural shock with it. It was in my review. I think I wrote the sentence like it was a great cultural exploration of the way the cookie crumbles,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was just subtle and authentic and beautiful, and really enjoyed it.
Good man. Yeah, yeah. It just missed out on my top 10. I briefly talked about it a little earlier, but yeah, I agree with everything you said. I'm glad you liked it so much.
Oh.
All right, moving on to number 6, Godzilla minus one.
Yeah, I mean that's in my top 5.
Do what?
It's in my top 5.
It's in your top 5. Do you want to go ahead because it's at 6 right now? Well, you know what?
Yeah,
We'll we'll wait. We'll wait. We'll go ahead and we'll yeah
we're
we'll
gonna have a
punt it.
bunch to talk about here in a minute.
Yeah.
We're
All
gonna
right.
run out of punts here because we're about to hit. So my number 6 movie on the year is Blackberry.
Oh wow. Yeah, this is one I
I
didn't see.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I in the world of a million, you know, biopics and now brand movies seem to be the thing. They did this one right, and I think Glenn Howerton's the reason. Glenn Howerton is brilliant in it. He's ruthless and unrecognizable, and yet like kind of hilarious. They did something interesting with it where they, you know, I read a little bit about it and they weren't sure whether it would work better as a series or a limited series or a movie. So they released it as a movie, and then when they came out, they put it on AMC Plus as a limited series. Like they re-edited it, recut it, extended it. They added about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes of footage, and I don't think the footage is all that relevant to the story, so it doesn't really matter which version you watch, but it did work very well as a series. But I'm drafting the movie. I it, I mean the performance is really the main thing, but I they take these like pretty boring topics, and I know they're not actually boring, but they could be. I mean, it's a bunch of legal and business jargon and stuff like that, and they kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I just kept pausing it, like, dude. Also, flash down memory lane, great nostalgia. They hit a lot of pleasure points of like early BlackBerry stuff, early iPhone ads, or like just
Mhm.
people introducing BBM. A lot of Leo point at the screen moments. A lot of fun stuff, especially if you're the right age. And I think I'm right at the right age. But definitely
Yeah, I had a
recommend it. I can't imagine this. This is one of those movies. Most people in my life, I think I would recommend it to. The rare, easy recommendation.
okay. Would you recommend this to someone over Saltburn?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I haven't recommended Saltburn yet.
Fair. All right, getting into our top 5 here, man. My number 5 is, you mentioned it, The Holdovers.
Hmm.
This movie's wonderful. It is such a like warm hug of a movie about really about redemption. And I'm a sucker for a good redemption story. And about, kind of that same theme, speaking of holiday movies, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles has, which is you don't know what someone else is going through underneath. So have empathy and be empathetic towards someone because they might be acting out for a certain reason that you don't know. And I think movies are the greatest teachers of empathy, and when a movie can not only put you in all these characters' shoes and make you feel for them, but also give you that message. It's beautiful. It's very well done. Paul Giamatti is fantastic in this movie. Currently, it seems like he is picking up a lot of steam for Best Actor.
No.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I think it's terrific. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies now. Dominic Sesek is amazing in this. This is his first movie ever, and oh my god, she's gonna win Best Supporting Actress.
Yeah, Divine Joy Randolph.
Yeah, Divine Joy Randolph. She is going to win Best Supporting Actress. She's wonderful in this too. It's just
Yeah,
it's a movie about people in pain
I
and
know.
coming together. I love this movie. It's
Yeah,
place number
it
five.
is. It's very good, and I'm super excited to have a new movie in the Christmas rotation. And really, I mean, it doesn't have to be a Christmas movie. It's one of those fine balances that doesn't rely on it.
Mhm.
It just works with it. I mean, yeah, Paul Giamatti, who I find to be fantastic. I probably would imagine. I mean, I can't speak for them, but he seems like an actor's actor. Like
Yeah,
he's actor's favorite actor, and he's just so great. And in this, he's great too. He's subtle. I mean, in a mean, grouchy character, he also is so vulnerable. I think he the subtle kind of, I don't know. I mean, like the little bit of like alcoholism floating in there. I think he plays that kind of brilliantly. I love the little touch of like the like he's in the restaurant or something, and someone offer like he's like, "Can I get your drink?" He's like, yeah, I'll do a like a." It's just like the perfect like bullshit someone who drinks too much would do, where they're like, you know what, that's not a bad idea. I might do a that's a good. I might have
yeah.
one.
My
And it's
favorite subtle part of the movie is when he sees Dominic Sesek's character taking Agnes taking the
medication.
medication, the depression medication, and then you look over and he's taking the exact same medication. They have a lot in common, and that's why they butt heads constantly. And it works. It works so well. And the ending too is so beautiful, like the shaking of the hands and it's just great.
Oh yeah, great movie. Excited for more of it, to watch it again. My number 5 is Oppenheimer.
Okay,
Um,
okay, we're gonna. It's this is. I mean, we're in our top five now. So you go ahead. You go ahead. You talk about it a little bit.
it's just obviously a master class in filmmaking. I mean, it from in there's 12 amazing performances in it. The cast is stellar. It's huge. No one Somehow everyone steals the show, but no one steals the show. Like it doesn't everyone just kind of comes in and does their job, and everyone does it well.
Hmm.
And in order for the bigger picture. No one tries to like show, I mean, some people's performances are very noteworthy, but in general, no one in it is bad. Everyone comes in, does their part, treats it like the best movie of their career, and checks out. And I think it's obviously cinematography is I mean, it's next to none. It's
The Ludwig
unbelievable.
Göransson
The
score
score,
is
the score is
yeah.
fantastic. Killian Murphy's. I mean, he's been talked about more than anything. I mean, he's fantastic in it. I mean, he's great. I mean, I just keep saying different adjectives that are positive. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. though. See, my issue with the movie. So Killian Murphy's. I don't want to take anything away from it. He's great. He absolutely deserves to be nominated, and if he wins, I think he deserves it. Sure, I think he did great. And I don't want to take anything away from that or speak illy of that at all. My I don't think he's the best person in the movie. I don't think he's the best performance in his own movie. I mean, I think Robert Downey Jr. is. I mean, I know it's a lead versus supporting, and it's not exactly the same ballgame. But I mean, I wanted more and more of him. I wanted to watch more and more of Strauss. Is that his name in the
Yeah,
movie?
I thought that they were both equally great. I didn't think one was better than the other. I think
Yeah.
this is clearly Robert Downey Jr. is probably going to win the Oscar for it. I think he's got that on lock. But
I mean, Jason Clarke comes in. He owns every minute he's in. Even Han
Emily
Solo, what's his name? Alden.
Emily
I mean, Han Solo's only in it for a few minutes.
all
Alden
the
Eric.
Alden Ehrenreich, the Emily Blunt sequence
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Jason Clarke is wonderful.
yeah. I mean, it's honestly. I mean, from beginning to end. I mean, like any technical aspect of it or behind the scenes is just A plus without a question. It it's paced pretty well. I mean, it's a great movie,
Yeah.
fantastic movie.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk a little more about it.
Let's see. Number 4. We're on to 4, right?
Oh yeah,
My number 4 is John Wick Chapter 4.
ah,
I think this is one of the greatest action movies I've ever seen. It is incredibly shot. It is stunning. It is gorgeous. It is nonstop action. It is like violent poetry. It really is. It is stunning to see and incredible to look at. There is like 5 or 6 action sequences in here that in any other movie people would be talking about it as if it is the greatest action scene they've ever seen in any movie. I mean, that one shot where he has the shotgun and it just the camera pans up and you're just watching him mow through people with this like flamethrower shotgun combination. Like it is stunning. The scene with the nunchucks is awesome. That was great. Donnie Yen as the blind master is fantastic, and the car chase sequence around the Arc de Triomphe is so
mm-hmm.
good. The stair sequence that you talked about is just unbelievable because it's like it is very much like the silent movie era comedy, physical comedy that you just is so absurd, but like it is so engaging. Like I just remember when he was falling down those stairs going, oh my God, he's falling down them again. It's like, oh my, it's awesome. And like, listen, don't make another one. I am someone who believes that you should let John Wick rest. Just this is the perfect bookend to the John Wick story. I don't know how you can top this. I don't think you can. I like it is almost 3 hours of like nonstop action and incredible stuff. Like this is one of those movies where I think it's one of the greatest action movies I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a masterpiece. I mean, the whole
Masterpiece of
genre
action.
has. I mean, between it and Mission Impossible, just. I mean, it's what action movies need to be. I mean,
Mhm.
and I guess we were getting a lot of them. I mean, and franchises need to be. You know, I mean, it's really exciting. It's exciting that we got the latest installments both in the same year here, a couple months apart. Um, Keanu Reeves is made for the role. The people involved are obviously very passionate about it, and I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. The director, want Chad Stahelski. Um, I was about to say I was forgetting his name, and then it just popped into my head. Chad Stahelski. He is one of those guys that I want to see given Star Wars because I think he would absolutely crush a Star Wars movie. I think he would absolutely crush it. I know he's doing the Highlander next with my boy Henry Cavill, so I very much look forward to that because he says he's going to be John Wick with swords. Sign me up.
Very cool. Very cool. Now we're on my number 4. My number 4 was a punt. It's Anatomy of a Fall.
Okay.
I thought this was beautiful. I thought it was raw. It was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I think it respected the audience, and the entire movie. You couldn't look away. I thought the use of language was so relevant, and interesting, and its own sort of conflict in itself in the movie. I thought the courtroom drama aspect. I don't. And again, I said that we reviewed this recently. I'm not sure if it's the fact that it's foreign and foreign to me, like, like it's not the same structure in a courtroom or the same like process in a trial that I'm used to, but it wasn't the overly dramatic angles and tropes, if you will, like from in a courtroom that you see in American cinema
Yeah.
in a courtroom. It was it relied solely on the performances, the dialogue, the subject matter to create the drama, and it worked incredibly. So you're just at the edge of your seat the entire time. And I mean, Sandra Huller's, I mean, she's awesome in it. She's awesome. And then Milo, what's his name? Milo Machado Graner. I
It's
mean,
phenomenal performance. That is
he's great.
such a good performance because there's a lot of emotional weight that he has to carry in this movie, and he's really our way into this story because we're viewing and seeing things through his eyes, and the whole him being blind and Justice is blind and him being the person that has to come up essentially wins his mom the case. Spoiler alert from the movie. Wins his mom the case. It's really poetic. It's really beautiful. It's a great movie.
Yeah. The And Sandra Huller, showing up. I mean, she's getting a lot of recognition for other performances in Zone of Interest. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that yet,
I haven't either.
but it's I mean, it's obviously getting recognition, so it's another that could potentially end up on a list and replace something. But kudos on her for showing up and showing out.
Yep. All right, getting into our top 3 here, man. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's funny. 4, I had John Wick Chapter 4. 3, I had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's funny. Listen, I to this day still think the best thing the MCU has ever done is the Guardians of the Galaxy films. Um, James Gunn brings, obviously the humor is what everyone talks to, but the humor, or not everyone talks about when they talk about those movies, but beneath that humor there is a lot of darkness and a lot of trauma to these characters. And in this one they really focus on the trauma and the traumatic past of Rocket, which had been teased throughout the films, and it is so heartbreaking and just incredibly emotional, the journey that you go through and what you see him go Rocket go through. It's crazy the amount of emotions James Gunn makes you feel about a raccoon.
I know.
It is incredible, and the performance that Bradley Cooper gives is amazing in this. It's speaking of amazing performances, Chris Pratt, someone who I think oftentimes gets overlooked for his acting, is great in this also. You want to talk about like a powerful scene, that scene where he thinks he's going to lose Rocket and he starts freaking out and everything he goes through as a character too, of having everyone he loved pulled away from him and finally having to go back home and kind of find himself is great, and how that character comes full circle. This is really an incredible trilogy of films capped by an incredible film, and they don't ever take the easy way out. Like I think a lesser script would have had him get back together with Gamora, but it's like no, this is a different Gamora. This is not the same one. I think James Gunn's an incredible writer. This movie got me so pumped for Superman Legacy. Because again, like when people think of James Gunn, they think, oh, the humor. It's like no, like James Gunn, the humor that he puts into his stories always feels natural to the characters, and it's for a reason. It's never like let's insert a joke here because you get a joke, you get a joke. Everyone gets a joke. It's not like that. It comes natural from a place of, usually from a place of pain. He's great at dealing with the emotional depth of characters, I think. That's why Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my third favorite film of the year. And a year where people say that, well, comic book movies are terrible and they're never coming back. It's like, really? Okay, well, there's two really great ones that came out this year in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Great pick. It was a lot of fun. Jess and I saw it on a Sunday morning. Both enjoyed it a lot. Had a fun time binging the first two before we went and saw it. It's emotional. It's hilarious. I will say, a lot of people before the movie were like, "Get ready to cry," and I was like, "Dude, they're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill Rocket." And it's like
they tease everyone
Jess felt
dying
the same
in
way.
that movie,
and it's like,
and no one does.
And I don't want to go into. It's like when people are like, "Hey, have you seen Marley and Me yet?" So I know it's good. It's good. It's really sad, but it's good. It's like, oh, I wonder what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I was just like, so I went in the entire time like just kind of pissed and like watching it, like, man. So I was actually like applauding at the end. I was super excited, but then I still felt like with 5 minutes left that they're gonna do some sort of like rope it up, like, oh, he's good. His head gets cut off or something like that.
Listen, when Peter goes back to get the Zune and his face implodes or like explodes, balloons up, whatever you want to call it. Like I was like, oh my God, they're gonna kill Peter. No, like I actively went no in the theater, and then they obviously they didn't. But like,
right.
Yeah. I think the movie, it's sad without anyone having to die. It doesn't like emotionally manipulate you and get you to care because of death. It does something different.
Speaking of that, I didn't mention this earlier. We were talking about what we've been watching. Jess and I finally caught up. Have you ever heard of the show Million Little Things?
No.
It's kind of like a This Is Us style show, just like a big group of friends with a lot of emotional type episodes and stuff like that. And it ended this year, the final season, but we were like 6 months behind on it, so we finally caught up on it and ended it last night. And we're just sitting on the couch, like sobbing all night. Like we were exhausted afterwards. Our eyes were burning. It's just like they just got you by the balls. And they'll just make you cry. So, and I don't know how we were talking about emotional manipulation is an interesting way to say it. It's just they just have you, and they can just do anything they want to you, and you just torture yourself watching it. Just reminded me of it. Sorry. All right, we're up to my top 3 now. Right?
Yeah, top 3.
Godzilla -1 is my third favorite movie of the year.
Yes.
I love this movie. It was so much fun. It was not what I expect either. It pretty much got rid of all of the shit I don't like about this type of movie, pretty much, and it exaggerated all the stuff I do love about it.
Ruins like pretty much all Godzilla movies and monster movies.
It's kind of unbelievable that the other Godzilla movie is putting trailers out around that time. Like it's like, okay, Pink Godzilla can sit down. You're embarrassing yourself.
Fuchsia Godzilla can go away. Yeah, this is different.
Takashi Yamazaki is brilliant. I mean, brilliant. The direction on this,
you crushed the name there, sir.
Yeah,
good
I practiced
job.
it for 2 days. He's so good. I mean, it's the terror he's able to instill, while it's this perfect balance of being subtle, because like the little like underwater shots are scary.
Hmm.
Just the ways to make him look larger than life, and hint at terror and build suspense while still not wasting any time. There wasn't a whole lot of building time. They jump right into it. I mean, they jump right into it at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah.
and they don't make you wait too long. I mean, they don't toy around. I mean, they're like, this is a Godzilla movie.
Well,
We're
what
gonna
they
give you
do
Godzilla, and he's gonna
instead
be
of
mean.
they frame Godzilla as he is a monster. He is mean and he is a monster trying to kill you. Like instead of like they make you care about the destruction instead of going, oh my god, all the buildings getting destroyed, so cool. They're like they make you care because you're going in there, you don't want to see anyone get hurt or destroyed, and when you see things get destroyed and hurt with every stomp, they make you feel it because you care about these characters so much, and it is a very emotionally the emotional depth of the story is great too because it's really about the courage to live
Yeah,
through dark
yeah, gosh,
times. It is beautiful. It's a
yeah. It's the characters have so much more depth than they have any right
mhm.
having, and Godzilla doesn't have more depth, which is great. I don't need Godzilla to be this complex. Oh, he was grown and tortured in a lab. I don't need any of that. Godzilla's a monster.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the people who are being destroyed by the monster. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Let's talk about them and their families and why we care and why we want to fight this monster. And I love the I don't know, the hands on, like the creative, realistic. We also didn't our approach to fighting Godzilla wasn't, well, I've got the the Robo Nimbus 2000 Taika Waititi computer that can that'll we'll put a chip in his brain. None of that shit. It's we're gonna use some science and we're gonna try some stuff because it's the best we got, and it's not gonna work.
The
We're
Taika
gonna do our
Waititi
best.
chip.
Whatever. I mean, we're just gonna do the best we can, and and it didn't work. And I thought the cast was great, the characters were great,
Listen,
the direction was the star of the show,
I'd take
but
a Taika Waititi chip. I'd take it.
really great. And somebody commented on our YouTube video. I think we had mentioned like what does the title mean, Godzilla
Hmm.
minus one, and someone kindly commented and they said they think it's like it just doesn't translate well from Japanese to English, and it's they used an example, and forgive me for getting it wrong. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something kind of like, oh, Ben
I
one,
saw the
Walker
comment.
zero. You know, like it would be kind of like a
Yeah,
phrase, like we'd be like, oh, check another loss for Walker, or Ben one, Walker zero, or Godzilla one, Earth zero. You know, like something like that, like a phrase that's like, I don't know exactly.
yeah.
Maybe I misunderstood his comment, but it was something
They
like that. I
they
appreciate the comment.
start at one and then they go -1 because it's post the bomb. I thought that might be the case when I saw the comment and the said a guy or girl commented and said we were correct on that assumption. So thank you for that comment. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great
Yeah.
movie. It's
Also worth noting, I
ruined.
love the setting of the post war Japan. I
Yep.
thought that was really well done and beautiful, and a good little like not a subplot, but maybe a subplot, just kind of some motivation for our characters and some explanation, some way to like introduce us to the characters and the situation they're in, which
Yeah.
makes everything that much more heartbreaking. And it's interesting seeing it from a perspective we don't normally see it.
Yeah. It's odd that we are now going from your number 3 to my number 2, which in a way can kind of coincide with Godzilla minus one, and that is Oppenheimer at number
Yeah.
2 for me. I went back and forth with what would be number 1 and number 2, and those will flip flop, I'm sure. But right now, Oppenheimer is my number 2. Um, this, yeah, it's the movie that I came away from, and I was absolutely speechless, just floored at the mat mastery, mastery. How would you say that? But like, I, see, I'm all tongue tied now. Like
It's the
it's
masterness.
thank you, the masteredness.
No.
No, that's not it. That's not it. No, it is an excellent, excellent movie. It is, in my opinion, flawless. The performances across the board, Walker, you nailed it. Like across the board, it's phenomenal. I pretty much agree with everything you said. But to me, the movie really comes to life at the third act after the
I agree
bomb,
completely. Completely agree.
because everything going up to the bomb is great, and the suspense that builds. But it's afterward where the movie, it goes from being great to like masterful. Like it is, the ending too is my second favorite scene of the year. Is the ending. The ending left me just on the floor. It is a wonderful ending and a wonderful end cap to the to the entire movie. I think it's a masterful movie. I think Christopher Nolan, this is his year. He's gonna walk away with Best Director. Probably gonna win Best
You
Picture.
gotta give it to him.
Yeah,
Gotta give him best director. And probably, I mean, I would guess Best Picture too, but you gotta give him best director. I mean, he's obviously like kind of an all time director
yeah.
that is gonna put out banger after banger after banger. And if you subscribe, which I do, if you subscribe to the thought of like legacy awards or retribution, like the Revenant type situation, which I don't hate that.
Scent of a Woman from Al Pacino. Yeah,
Yeah, Oppenheimer's. I mean, not that Oppenheimer. I mean, not that he doesn't deserve. He absolutely deserves it for Oppenheimer for sure. But like
it's those two worlds
someone
meeting.
like yeah,
It's
basically Christopher Nolan should not
legacy
go his entire
and
career.
also, yeah,
Christopher Nolan should not go his entire career without an Oscar. And right now is the time to give him an Oscar.
yeah.
Yeah, this is the time to say perfect opportunity.
This might be his best movie. Like I still like.
Yeah.
It's crazy to go back and look at his filmography and just how many great movies. There's not a bad movie in there. His worst movie might be The Dark Knight Rises. Like think about that, and that's still a great movie, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's a good point.
It's crazy to me that is the case. But in a incredible filmography, this might be his best movie. I still might lean Inception, but this movie is phenomenal. It deserves that number 2 spot. Like I said, it will probably flip flop back and forth between one is my number 1, which is probably pretty obvious at this point. But Walker, what is your number 2?
It's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
When I saw this movie, I was grinning ear to ear the entire time. I mean, this is odd to me. It surprises me. I'm not. I don't have any issue with animation, but like I'm not like over the top jazzed up to go see animated movies normally. You know what I mean? I respect them. I appreciate them. I take them for what they are. I don't have a lot of experience with them because I'm not an anime guy at all. I do. And like in Star Wars, I watched the Clone Wars, and for a while that felt like a chore, and then eventually you start hitting some good stuff, and you're like, oh, it's pretty good, but you kind of forget. I mean, you kind of forget what you're watching, and it's just about the story at that point. And but I'm not like an animated guy. Like I don't like go looking for it, but watching this, it's not just animation. I mean, this is one of the. It just blew me away. I mean, the art involved with it. I mean, obviously, I hear like people are working very hard on it, probably too hard, but
Yeah.
the it's obvious. I mean, you when you watch it, the talent, the creativity, and the hard work literally oozes off the screen. It's unique and interesting, and I've never seen anything like it. I honestly the story kind of took a back seat for the first time I saw it because it was I was just so drawn by everything and like loving it all, and I loved the characters.
The wet paint look of
So
Gwen
cool.
Stacy is so gorgeous. Yeah, I
Also, got to be a theater thing too.
yeah. I think one of the most appealing things about this movie is how it approaches like, is it the tragedy that makes Superman who he, or not Superman, but Spider Man who he is, or is it what it defines him? And the question it kind of poses there and never answers it, but I think it's one of the most intriguing things about the film, and it's thought provoking. That idea of the canon event and how it approaches it. Multiverse stories, to me, I'm kind of done with them. They're gimmicky, but this really works.
Yep, great soundtrack. Um,
Oh yeah,
Good movie. Good movie. I'm excited for the third installment.
yeah, me too. Whenever we get that, but number one,
What's your
man,
favorite movie of the year?
it's the Iron Claw.
I knew it.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty obvious. This movie, again, man, it's such an emotional movie that touched me in more ways than I thought it was going to. Like, I know the real life story. I was expecting it to be tragic, and it was really tragic. But the ending of this movie, it it what they were able to do and how they were able to pull it off by capturing the tragedy, but also letting you see the emotion of it all and how there's this hopefulness at the end in a weird way. Like it's I've said it a bunch of times about a lot of movies on here, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story that is about, again, the courage to live and to overcome tragedy and overcoming generational trauma and what it means to be emotionally healthy and not holding stuff in because that'll just crush you in the end. That'll get you. But dealing with those problems and talking to people if you need help and not holding those feelings in, because if you do, it'll get you in the end. I think this is a beautiful movie. I think it is still a crying shame that Zac Efron is not getting any Oscar love, because again, I think he gives the best male performance of the year. I think he's not getting any love, but he gives the best male performance of the year. This is one that I cannot. It sounds so weird for a movie that is so oppressively sad to say that I can't wait to watch it again, but I can't wait to watch it again. I really want to watch this with as many people as possible. I genuinely love this movie quite a lot. It connected with me on an emotional level for a lot of reasons. Um, but yeah, I this is my favorite movie of the year. I went back and forth between Oppenheimer and Iron Claw. While I do think Oppenheimer is a better, I think like it's a better made movie. I think you could say, but emotionally, the Iron Claw got me in a way that I wasn't expecting. Um, so yeah, I absolutely love this movie. That's why it's number one here for me, man.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful movie. It's well performed by everyone in it. Everyone
Yeah,
in it obviously like committed to the movie and the story and wanted to do it justice. And it was obvious when they did it. When you saw it, Zac Efron. I am bummed he's not getting any recognition. Well, he's getting recognition. He's just not getting a recognition by the award people because
yeah,
I haven't. I mean, I follow a lot of movie content online and stuff, and I haven't heard anything but high praises for his performance. It's fantastic. Jeremy Allen White's also great, but Zac
Physical as
Efron
well,
really steals the show.
physically
Yeah,
as well as like emotionally. He crushed it.
yeah. Hope McElhenney in it was very good. The story is so tragic and emotional in general, and I think they did it justice, and
Favorite
it's
scene
it deserves
of
to be
the
high on the list.
favorite scene of the year in this movie. The I'll be your brother, daddy.
Yeah, it's emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the cherry on top for in my opinion of getting a nom. Yeah.
What's your number one of the year, Walker?
I mean, I'm gonna do it. It's Saltburn. I loved Saltburn. I thought it was it had me the whole movie. I know we talked about it last week a little bit, and I know this is a bad pick. Or not a bad pick. Excuse me, I know it's a controversial, divisive pick. I know some people are going to be very low on the list. It does seem like more people than I expected are kind of mediocre on it. Like I liked it, but it just didn't do it for me all that much. But that surprises me. I thought it would be more of a all the way or nothing type of mentality for a lot of people. It the entire movie. I mean, it's definitely without question shot beautifully. I think objectively, I think it the cinematography, just the cool angles they would do, the set pieces and the castle were amazing. I thought the slow kind of burn of what's everyone up to was done well. The performances, I thought Barry Keoghan. I mean, you said it last week perfectly. He's for real. I mean, he's great. I also really love Rosamund Pike in it, and Rosamund Pike's not getting talked about as much as I would have expected her to because I thought she played what she needed to play really, really well in this movie. I like Jacob Elordi, but I mean, he gets kind of swallowed by them in the cast. I think. I, I thought some of the complaints I thought would happen did happen. I actually coming out of the movie did not think the shocking scenes were going to be as big of a deal as they were, but they've taken the internet by storm. I mean, they were gross. I mean, they were a big deal, but I mean, I thought maybe his character development felt out of place and it made me not like the movie throughout the second act a little bit. Like it was kind of like, man, I really was liking this, and this just doesn't like work for me. It doesn't make sense, what he's doing. It doesn't feel true or real. And then later it kind of, in my opinion, explains it and makes it work for me, and it all comes for full circle. And like, in times where like I've heard you say or some other people say like, the character development felt rushed or out of place, and I didn't think of it as character development. I've thought of it as a performance that Oliver, the character, was putting on, and he was breaking character in his performance,
Breaking free
in
of it.
his
Yeah.
life. And he was while he's lying about so many things and pretending and faking so many things, there's just moments where the real him kind of shines through and becomes obvious. And I liked the ending. I mean, there's certain parts of the movie I they didn't hurt the movie for me, but they weren't as like genius of choices as maybe some people think. But I just I the whole movie, except I was having so much fun with it, really loving it, enjoying almost everything about it, and then had moments of doubt, and then it came full circle and like fixed those moments of doubt, and then surprised me and twisted me and entertained me further. And I just remember like being in the theater like, do I think this is a perfect movie? God, like I was like, I just was loving it, but I knew immediately that the world wouldn't feel that way, and I haven't found someone I can recommend it to really at
Really?
all.
I thought you would recommend it to Spencer, man.
You know what, what's funny? I know you're being sarcastic. I there's a very small part of me that actually thinks I don't think this. I don't. I don't think he'll like it. But there's a very small
Listen,
part of me that thinks he might be the only person that would like it for
the
some weird reason, but I don't
entertainment
think he will.
value that would be there just to sit there and watch it with him to hear him comment is worth it.
Yeah, he'll probably gag. He'll probably dry heave.
Yeah, it would be great. No, I
I
mean,
guess I mean I just a lot of people I don't think will like it, and everybody. I mean, my cousin Andrew, who I mentioned several times on here, and a lot of times we have the same taste. Sometimes we have different tastes. All I got from him on it, I didn't recommend it to him, but he watched it. He sent me a message that said Saltburn was wild. That's all he said, and I was like, oh, we'll talk about it one day together.
yeah, it's look, I appreciate a lot about it, but it's not. It's not in my top 10. It's not in my honorable mentions. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine movie. I think I'd give it like a low end. I think I gave it like a low end go see it. It's based off that, but it's one of those movies where like if its goal was to get the what the fuck reaction out of me, it got that out of me, but I didn't think much of it afterward. I thought the performances were good. I thought the direction was solid. It's just not my thing, man. I didn't love it as much as
Yeah.
you did. I'm not into Jacob Elordi's bathwater. It's
Well,
Candle.
there. That's funny. The
Yeah.
that seems like those are our lists. They're pretty good. I mean, you want to just so I make sure I have them all written down the right order. You want to burn through yours real quick? Just read them off. Do you have them written down?
Yeah. I have them written down. So
Just you.
my number 10 is Elemental. My number 9 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. My number 8, Anatomy of a Fall. 7, The Creator. 6, Godzilla minus 1. 5, The Holdovers. 4, John Wick Chapter 4. 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 2, Oppenheimer. And 1, The Iron Claw. Now, what is your top 10 again in order?
My number 10 was Barbie. Number 9 was Creed 3. Number 8, The Iron Claw. Number 7, Past Lives. Number 6, Blackberry. Number 5, Oppenheimer. Number 4, Anatomy of a Fall. Number 3, Godzilla minus 1. Number 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And number 1 was Saltburn. So I was thinking, I mean, I don't. Do you have a plan for this, or I was trying to think of a way to mesh these lists together, like you were talking.
Yeah, we should totally mesh them together. I think we should get our commonalities first, and then if we want to like flip a coin for whatever the other ones are, we
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking. So, just tell me what you think about this. If you do, like, if you're like Iron Claw, maybe would be worth like reverse order, basically. Like Iron Claw's worth 11 points for you. You know, you give it an 11 points, and then Oppenheimer's worth 10 points. Guardians 9, all the way down to your number 10 is 2 points. Elemental, and then all your honorably mentions are 1 point each. And
Yeah.
then I do the same thing on my list, and I've already got it written down. And we can like you know between the movies, like so for example, Iron Claw would get 11 for you and 4 for me, so it'd be a 15, and like that would like you know what I mean. So we
Okay.
can is that I need you to read off your honorable mentions one more time though, and I'll be good. I got Past Lives, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mission Impossible, Air, and one other one.
The Flash.
The Flash. That's it. Okay. And then my honorable mentions were The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, John Wick Chapter 4, May December, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So if I go through these, bear with me and stop if you want to stop me or anything if you don't like this.
No. I actually
Mhm.
I like this more. I like this more than what we had previously discussed.
So I'm gonna go down your list real quick, and I'll grab my commonalities. Then I'll go through my list and see what's left over and everything. So Iron Claw, you gave it your number
It's
one.
my number
It's
one of the
my
year, so it's
number
11 points there, right?
right. Yep, and then it's my number 8 of the year, so it's 4. So we're gonna give it a 15. Your number 2 is Oppenheimer, which gets 10 points. It's my number 5, 7 points, so it gets 17. You got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It was your number 3, so it gets 9 points. It was one of my honorable mentions, so it gets 1, so it's a 10.
A 10.
Then we've got John Wick Chapter 4. It was your number 4, so it gets 8. It was on my honorable mention. It's 1, so it gets a 9. John Wick 9. And then what's next? The Holdovers is a 7. It's number 5, so it gets a 7. It's on my honorable mentions. It gets a 1, so that puts it at an 8. We have a lot. We did have a lot of crossover. I guess that's what you'd expect, though.
Yeah.
Godzilla. It was your
6.
Number 6, so it gets a 6. And it was my number 3, so it gets a 9. So that puts it at 15 total. Wow.
Ooh. Flip a coin for those ties.
Let's see. The Creator is number 7. It got a 5 points. It's not on my list, so it just gets 5 points. Anatomy of a Fall was number 8 on your list, so it gets 4 points. It was number 4 on my list. It got 8 points, so that gives it a 12 total. Then we've got Spider-Verse. That was number 9 on your list, gets 3 points. It was number 2 on my list, got 10, so that puts it at 13 total. You had Elemental as your number 10, which got 2 points. It was not on my list, so it stays at the 2. You've got Past Lives as an honorable mention, so you got 1 point for that. It was on my number 7, so it got 5 points for me, so it's 6 total. TMNT was just on yours, so that gets the 1 for honorable mention. MI7 just missed my list, so it just gets the 1 for your honorable mention. Air, same story.
Flash, same
and
story.
Flash, story, same story. And then if we look at my list, Saltburn is just on my list. It gets an 11 because it's number 1. That may come back to not be very fair. Spider-Man, we already got it. Godzilla, we already got it. Anatomy, we already got it. Oppenheimer, we already got it. Blackberry for me, it is number 6, so it gets a 6. Past Lives, we got it. Iron Claw, we got it. Creed for me, it was number 9, so it gets a 3, not on your list. Barbie gets a 2 for me, being number 10, not on your list. Holdovers, we got it. Killers of the Flower Moon, just on my list with a 1. John Wick, we got it. May December gets a 1 for my honorable mentions. And Guardians, we already got it. Okie doke.
So any ties?
Yeah, we got a couple. So our number 1 movie with the highest combined score between the two of us is probably no surprise here. It's Oppenheimer.
All right, so number 1 is going to be. Let's see. I'm gonna write this down. All right, number 1. Oppenheimer. That makes sense. I'm happy with that.
Yep. And then our second highest score is 15, and we've got 2 movies with 15.
All
Iron
right.
Claw and Godzilla. I think
So Iron Claw is number 1.
I think it should win because it's number 1 on your list.
Okay. I was about to say I will defer to your judgment on that, but I think Iron Claw should be number 1 on that.
Yeah, I think it wins, and then I think Godzilla comes in at number 3 with a score of 15 as well. Sound good? And then what do we have next? 1. So that was 15. Our next highest score is a Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
At number 4? Wow, nice.
Yeah. That comes in with a 13. It's because it was so high on mine. I mean, it was on yours too. It's a 13. Number 5 on our list is Anatomy of a Fall with 12.
So number 5 is Anatomy of a Fall.
Yep, with a combined score of 12 for us.
That's a good top 5. Oppenheimer, Iron Claw, Godzilla -1, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Anatomy of a Fall. Okay.
Yep. So here's where it gets. We've got 5 more that we both had on one of our lists.
Mm-hmm.
and they would be 5 of the next 6 scores. The issue is the next score would be Saltburn, but it's not even on your list, so I don't think it should. I think if we the fact that we have 10 on both of our lists, I think the 10 should be on this list. I don't think Saltburn should be on it because it's not even on your list. Just because it gets
It
the
is your
11.
number one, though.
I mean, you want the Ben and Walker movie show's number 6 movie of the year to be Saltburn?
No, but like it is. It's your number one.
Oh, you know
And
what?
we
I'm
have
wrong. I didn't delete Anatomy. It has to be Saltburn. You're right. It has to be because we only have
yeah.
4 left. All right, so sorry for it. We got Saltburn as number 6. Now, number 7, you'll be happy with. Not that it's lower than Saltburn, but that it's on the list is Guardians Volume 3 with a 10 combined score from us. Number 8 would be John Wick Chapter 4 with a
Wow.
9 combined score.
John Wick Chapter 4. All right, so
Yeah.
the fact that Saltburn is on this list is hilarious, but it does it does need to be on here. It was your number one movie of the year. It would be wrong if we just left it out.
Well, I appreciate it. I like the representation, but it's going to raise some eyebrows.
It
And we have
will.
2 more. We've got number 9 is going to be the Holdovers, with a combined score of 8. And I'm glad this made the cut here. Our number 10 movie of the year is Past Lives with a score of 6. So I like this list. I mean, Saltburn's controversial, but other than that, I really like the list. I'll read it off in reverse order for us, for everybody. The Ben and Walker Show, Ben and Walker Movie Show, top 10 movies of 2023 from our combined scores. Coming in at number 10 is Past Lives. Our number 9 favorite movie of the year is The Holdovers. Our number 8 movie of the year, John Wick Chapter 4. Our number 7 favorite movie of the year is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And our number 6 for both of our favorite movies combined score of the year is
Jesus.
Saltburn.
God.
Number 5, beautiful movie, Anatomy of a Fall.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Number 3, Godzilla -1. Number 2, The Iron Claw. And number 1, Oppenheimer. Those are really, I mean, obviously I liked Saltburn, but there's a great top 10 and a really great top 5. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I mean
I think
Zoe.
it paints our picture.
I don't know if you can hear her downstairs, but obviously, I think she has some objections to Saltburn being on this list. So you're going to have to take that up with her. So good luck with that. But yeah, no, I all jokes aside, I think this is a good combined list of films here. I do. Surprised Guardians is as low as it is, but it makes sense given that it was in your honorable mentions and stuff like that.
There's just been a lot of good movies, and I'm a sucker for a lot of these. I mean, Past Lives, Anatomy of a Fall, they really were they a lot of late movies got me. No, Guardians was probably in the top 5 before December. I mean, like maybe that's not correct, but I mean December. I mean, and not necessarily surprisingly had a bunch of bangers that really shifted and shook things up.
Yeah, I like this list. It's a good list. It's a good list. I am very pleased, very pleased with it.
Well, as we wrap things up, I mean, there's a couple we've mentioned. I haven't seen, Poor Things, American Fiction, Society of the Snow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Beau is Afraid.
I didn't see that one either.
Which seems like it has the same audience as Saltburn in terms of who likes it.
You might love it. I'll probably hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. But as we see things, we'll give you a little review on them, and we'll tell you if they would have made it into our list. So, what are we doing next week? Are we doing a deep dive? So are we?
Yes, next week we are doing a deep dive on a very, very, very popular movie that I may have talked about earlier in this show, Mean Girls.
Great. Yeah. That's exciting. All right. 20 years old?
It is, man, which is it that just seems so wrong.
I don't know. So yeah, yeah. So we'll be watching Mean Girls this week. I'm probably gonna watch the musical, afterwards. I'll get with you and share my thoughts on one of our upcoming shows once I see that. Um, but I'm looking forward to it, man. You got anything else
Yeah,
for
it'll
us?
be fun to discuss because that's it, man. That's all I got.
Well, that does it for this week. Thank you all so much again for listening. If you're hearing this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thanks for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe for more movie talk each week. Let us know below what were your top 10 of 2023. How terrible was my list? And was Saltburn number one on your list too? Obviously.
How is it that ended up on our combined top 10 is amazing, but you know what?
I think we just love it. We just
I
love it.
think one of us loves it for sure, but it needed to be on there, man.
Yeah. Well, it said has been Ben and Walker. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.